Hello and welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. I'm going to be testing the waters a little bit with a new format to the show. It's going to be a little bit old, a little bit new, you'll understand why here in a couple of minutes. For semantics involving that, maybe I'll make a vlog about it if people actually care enough to ask. I don't know, whatever, maybe sometime later somebody wants to know. But anyway, this show is all about the events that occurred today in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things I personally find intriguing enough for me to bring to you. The source of this information comes from the smart device application On This Day, the icon of which is shown as cutoff prevention at the beginning and end of each episode. The music in the background is Translucent by Unison, which I found on the YouTube channel No Copyright Sounds, aka NCS. For links to the app, music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar. Now let's get on with the show, shall we? Today is Friday's Day, aka Friday, June 24th, 2016. In 2013, former Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi was found guilty of abusing his power and having sex with an underage prostitute, and was sentenced to 7 years in prison. In 2012, Lonesome George, the last known individual of Cheilonodus nigra abedondoni, a subspecies of the Galapagos tortoise, died, most likely in captivity. In 2010, Julia Gillard assumed the office as the first female Prime Minister of Australia. In 2004, in New York, capital punishment was declared unconstitutional. In 2002, the worst train accident in African history occurred when the Igandu train disaster in Tanzania caused the deaths of 281 people. In 1982, Airways Flight 9 flew into a crowd of volcanic ash thrown up by the eruption of Mount Galunggung, resulting in the failure of all 4 engines. In 1973, the upstairs lounge arson attack took place at a homosexual bar located on the second floor of the 3-story building at 141 Charles Street in the French Quarter of New Orleans, Louisiana, USA. 32 people died as a result of fire or smoke inhalation. In 1967, the worst caving disaster in British history caused the deaths of 6 people at Mossdale Caverns. In 1963, the United Kingdom granted Zanzibar internal self-government. In 1957, in Roth v. United States, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that obscenity was not protected by the First Amendment. Now, if you are a common citizen of the United States of America, you are somewhat ignorant to pretty much anything and everything. But hopefully you know enough about the First Amendment of the Constitution of the USA involves freedom of speech. With that said, the dictionary definition of obscenity is as follows: the state or quality of being obscene, obscene behavior, language, or images, and or an extremely offensive word or expression. Now, with how vague that definition is and how pussy our society has become, pretty much saying literally anything can be labeled as obscene, thus voiding the protection of the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America thanks to that ruling. Which means, pretty much you can legally take anything I say in this show and bitch about it and get me thrown in jail because it offended your delicate little feelings. People these days really need to grow a pair. In 1949, the first television western, Hopalong Cassidy, was aired on NBC starring William Boyd. In 1948, the start of the Berlin blockade began when the Soviet Union made overland travel between West Germany and West Berlin impossible. In 1947, Kenneth Arnold made the first widely reported UFO sighting near Mount Rainier, Washington. In 1940, during World War II, Operation Collar occurred when the first British commando raid on occupied France commenced with No. 11 Independent Company. In 1939, Siam was renamed Thailand by Plaek P. von Songkhram, whom was the 3rd Prime Minister of the country. In 1938, pieces of a meteor, which was estimated to have weighed 450 metric tons, which is 450,000 pounds if I am correct, landed near Shikora, Pennsylvania, after it hit the atmosphere of the Earth and exploded. In 1932, a bloodless revolution, instigated by the People's Party, ended the absolute power of King Praj Adhipok of Siam, which, as you now know, is known today as Thailand. In 1918, the first airmail service in Canada occurred between Montreal and Toronto, respectively. In 1916, during World War I, the Battle of the Somme began with a week-long artillery bombardment on the German line. Also in 1916, Mary Pickford became the first female film star to sign a $1 million contract. In 1913, Greece and Serbia annulled their alliance with Bulgaria. In 1890, the first performance of "O Canada" occurred when the song that would become the national anthem of the country at the Congrès National des Canadiens Français. In 1821, the Battle of Carabobo took place and became the decisive battle in the War of Independence of Venezuela from Spain. In 1813, during the Battle of Beaver Dams, a combined British and Indian force defeated the United States Army. In 1812, during the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon's Grand Armée crossed the Neman River, thus beginning the invasion of Russia. In 1793, the first Republican Constitution in France was adopted. In 1779, during the American Revolutionary War, the Great Siege of Gibraltar began. In the year 1717, the premier Grand Lodge of England, the first Masonic Grand Lodge in the world, which is now the United Grand Lodge of England, was founded in London. In 1604, Samuel D. Champlain discovered the mouth of the St. John River, site of Reversing Falls, and the present-day city of St. John, New Brunswick, Canada. Now, speaking of New Brunswick, my dad had a dream that he ended up there and he needed to use the payphone, but their coins were many dumbbells, yet the coin slot was the same as you know it. I know I already told that story, just wanted to bust my dad again because I'm an asshole. In 1571, Miguel Lopez de Legazpi founded Manila, the capital of the Republic of the Philippines. In 1535, the Anabaptist state of Munster was conquered and disbanded. In 1531, the city of San Juan del Rio, Mexico was founded. In 1497, John Cabot landed in North America at Newfoundland, leading to the first European exploration of the region since the Vikings. In 1374, a sudden outbreak of St. John's disease caused people in the streets of Aachen, Germany, to experience hallucinations and begin to jump and twitch uncontrollably until they collapsed from exhaustion. I had no idea they had computers back then, let alone the internet to live broadcast their subpar video game garbage. Or maybe it's just an old version of the Harlem Shake. In 1314, during the First War of Scottish Independence, the Battle of Bannockburn concluded with a decisive victory by Scottish forces led by Robert the Brush, though England did not recognize Scottish independence until 1328 with the signing of the Treaty of Edinburgh-Northampton. In 972, the Battle of Cydonia, the first documented victory of Polish forces, took place. In 637, the Battle of Moria was fought between the High King of Ireland and the Kings of Ulster and Dalrieta. It is claimed to be the largest battle in the history of Ireland. And in 109, Roman Emperor Trajan inaugurated the Aqua Traiana, an aqueduct that channeled water from Lake Bracano, which was 40 kilometers or 25 miles northwest of Rome. Births: Noah Gunther, 1997. Deaths: Grover Cleveland, 1908. And that concludes the show. Once again, check the underbar for any links you may be interested in. Don't forget to rate 5 thumbs and subscribe. For your dose of Passive Edits Daily, I am Xander, and you are you. Toodles!